There it is. There they are. There are the culprits. 1, 2, 3. See these voles? Well, you're staying with me here. This is garden drama at its highest. Guten gardening, everybody. Directly behind me, I have 4 rather large plastic containers filled, I hope, with 2 different varieties of purple sweet potatoes. In 2 of these containers, we've grown some purple passion sweet potatoes, and in the other 2, we've grown some Stokes Purple potatoes. Both of these varieties are ones that we grew our own slips and planted, so that means that we've been growing these purple sweet potatoes for at least the last couple of years. Now, I'm going to talk more about the differences between the 2, but our hope is to see which one performed better for us and then get this harvest going. What you should know, though, I guess, is that last year was our first year growing the Stokes Purple potatoes, and we grew an entire 3x6 raised bed from just one single Stokes sweet potato. So these are the direct descendants. Now we're going to start with our purple passion sweet potatoes. Now we've grown potatoes and sweet potatoes in these plastic bins, and I've talked about them a little bit. I'll try to put a link to something comparable. These are rather large plastic totes, and they are made out of polyethylene, and that is considered to be food safe. Something like this, a nice sturdy container, can handle the amount of food we're growing in here and really not show a ton of damage over the years. And one of the things I've started mentioning in each of the videos as I'm harvesting sweet potatoes, you'll probably notice me mention it, but there's a milky white substance that sweet potatoes have that is really quite sticky, and if it gets on your hands, on your fingers, you'll get some black mess. It's kind of hard to get off, and if it gets on your clothes, it's actually even worse. So I like to mention that as I get started with the harvest, so maybe people who have been growing sweet potatoes for the first time or growing them for the first time don't make the mistake I've made. I've ruined a couple shirts getting that stuff on them. All right, I'm going to cut these down just to the point where we can still see the ends of them and see how they do. Now I should probably mention one more thing, and that is that these leaves, and most of these leaves look pretty healthy. These leaves are perfectly edible. If that's something you'd like to do, I'm not going to take the time right now, but I could cut these off and take them in and cook them up much like I would spinach. Here's what it looks like after I've cleared this off. Now in each of these bins I planted 5 slips. So we have 10 total slips of Stokes, 10 total slips of the purple passion, and as I go through here, it's the first time I'm taking a look. I see a little bit of tunneling here, and especially I would say in this 4th bin there's a substantial amount of tunneling, probably from some voles. So we'll see what kind of damage they did. I can tell you that they've pretty much left our potatoes completely alone, so it's possible that they changed their efforts around and went over here to the sweet potatoes. But we're going to start, as I said, with our purple passion in these 2 bins. It's always interesting because things are kind of covered up a good bit until you get out here to see really what has grown. To be honest with you, I've been a little bit worried about our sweet potatoes as a crop, more than just about any other plant out here, to see if they actually developed for us. It just seemed to me that realistically, many of our sweet potatoes were not thriving this year. And I can tell you something right now that I'm seeing. Take a look at this sweet potato. This has been in here for about 115 days. Do you see all this growth coming off here and the top part eaten off? Well, this is part of the problem. This is our purple passion. Actually, I can show you this because this one is not something we'd eat. I could actually grow some slips from this if I wanted to. But you can see that really vibrant purple skin here as I clean it off. You see that bright purple skin. And if I scrape back a little bit, you see that beautiful, beautiful purple inside. That's typical of this variety of sweet potato. Okay, I'm going to come back here because I still feel more in here. What we got is a whole bunch of sprouting and already eaten purple purple passion. Okay, that's what I was talking about when I said that, you know, it seems fortunate for us that our potatoes were fine, but it may have been that, that the voles came and found a different target. wow, this is crazy. In this particular container, they dug right down in. All right, there we go. Our first sweet potato, our first purple passion that isn't gnawed up. Again, you can see starting to root again, which clearly means I've left these in here a bit too long. What with the other harvests I've been doing, been a little bit of a challenge to get out here and get these harvested. So, you know, I mean, you get what you get whenever you don't get out on time. No doubt about it. Oh, they've gone and dug way down in here. So this is probably 7-8 inches down, and they've dug all the way down in there and they've eaten these up. I'm hoping I haven't lost everything in here to the voles, because I really want to see, I mean, obviously we want to keep everything going. We want to keep this line of sweet potatoes going, but besides that, we want to get some food in here to eat. Now, when I say we want to keep these going, oh wow, this is way down in here. It feels like I'm all the way at the bottom of this container, and this soil is kind of hard to move back. All the way at the bottom of this is probably about 13, 14 inches down, and it's going through the hole in the bottom of the container. I can feel it going out the other end. See, I just pulled that one apart. Oh, it's not something you want to have happen. But take a look at that beautiful color in here, huh? That one is going down into the ground, it feels like to me, into the ground underneath. Yeah, just like so. It's going down into the ground underneath this container. And that's one thing about sweet potatoes. You know, with potatoes, for the most part, we found success even growing in beds 10 inches deep or so. Sweet potatoes are a little bit more challenging. I mean, we've grown them in our green stalk, and that's a 10-inch green stalk, an original tier green stalk, but some of these varieties of sweet potatoes just shoot way down in there. So far, so not good for this particular harvest. However, and they're in there, the sweet potatoes are in there, they're just eaten up. Well, we've talked about different methods of protection against the voles. We had some cats come around this year. I think that probably helped us, at least help save some of our potato crop. But this container may be one of the most disappointing I've had to pull out of here. All right, here we would have had, let me just dig out from around here, because I think we're going to be able to save some of this one. Well, look at this depth. You can actually see the depth because I'm pulling away from the side here. The depth of this one is a nicer one. It's definitely still eaten at the top, but I think there's enough to it that we can still preserve some of what's here. This would have been a pretty nice little bunch here. I can see 4 or 5 of these sweet potatoes that, again, 5, 6 of them, half a dozen of them that were chewed up completely. They weren't massive, they weren't big around, I wouldn't say that, but they would have been good enough to eat, except for the voles. All right, this is the biggest one. I'm going to say this is probably the biggest one so far. Let me just pull it out without breaking it. There you go. Well, you can see, and this is something we noticed about the purple passion sweet potatoes too. They tended to be, for us, longer and thinner. Like that variety tended to be longer and thinner than some of our other varieties of sweet potatoes. All right, well, there you go. We're definitely not going to be able to do a comparison of size or overall production because we're not getting it out of this bed for sure. Now, even though I'm not pulling too many out of here, I can still talk about some of the characteristics of this particular sweet potato. For one, the purple passion has this kind of, I would describe it as an earthy taste to it. And if you've never eaten a purple sweet potato, I think I say this every single time that I'm out here harvesting purple sweet potatoes, but they are just a completely different taste. And one of our viewers said, in their opinion, the purple sweet potatoes often, if they say the word cake batter as they eat them, they get that flavor completely, the cake batter kind of flavor. There you go. I broke it right at the bottom. Yeah, they're going right through the bottom. I have some holes in the bottom of these containers, and they're digging themselves the whole way down. So they have kind of an earthy taste to them, an earthy flavor, if you will. And then on top of that earthy flavor, they also have a really smooth texture when they're prepared, when they're cooked up. A nice, smooth texture. I tell you what I'm going to do, what I think I'm going to do. because I'm not going to lose everything that I see in here. I'm going to take a couple of these that are just about to sprout, and I'm going to put them into a mix inside and get these going. Because, I mean, you know, they were damaged so much, there's not going to be any dormancy here. They're just trying to continue growing. So I'm going to put these right here like this right now. And then I'm going to, after the end of this harvest, take these inside to plant. You know, it's kind of funny. I just said to someone, I really hope that our bad crop of potatoes last year isn't trading places with our sweet potatoes this year, where we struggle with one, did well with the other. I don't know. I mean, this is pretty early on with our sweet potatoes. Not like we've harvested too many. So we'll see. All right, well, I see, I was about to say I see less digging. And then as I moved over top of this, it all collapsed in. I don't know what that means. I guess we're about to find out. And we did feed this several times over the growing period, much like we feed our potatoes. You know, these are fairly heavy feeders, so we want to make sure we give it enough food. Oh, did you hear that? There it is. There they are. There are the culprits. 1, 2, 3. See these voles? That is what happens. Those are the, look how small they are. I mean, they get bigger. These are pretty young, but do you see how small they are and the amount of damage they do? And there's the nest right in there. That's where they've been eating and feeding. They move from one to the next. All right, I'm going to relocate these and get back at the harvest. I wonder if there are any more. That was just 3 of them. Let's move them around. Look, they brought in some hay right down underneath. Oh, there's number 4. Yep, we get a whole bunch of them. All right, well, I ended up finding 4 down in here. That was their nest right down in here. And this is where our sweet potatoes should have been. Let's see if they actually left me anything. You can see where they've been feeding right down in there. Wow. That is something else right there. Yeah, all it takes is for one to get in there. They have their babies. The babies, as they start to grow, they're down there feeding, and they're eating up our sweet potatoes. Just like that. Well, what are you going to do? It's one of the challenges that happens with gardening, you know. You're going to have to deal with some of the critters in there. You win some, you struggle some. And I'm coming back to the fact that I definitely could have harvested these earlier. And it seems to me that they're more apt, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's a survival thing. Are they more apt to start growing again if they've been damaged? Okay, so look at what I'm talking about here. Look at the size of these. Look at what would have been some beautiful sweet potatoes and what they have consumed. But just in general, those were massive. I've never had our sweet potatoes go this far in the other direction. Hey, surprise, surprise. There's a little walnut for us, present of the squirrels. I've never had them develop this much, and it's not like I've left them in that long, but I'm thinking the damage may have caused some of this. Not sure, not sure. What an interesting harvest. See, you're coming along with us for for one of the challenging ones. If you haven't seen it, we've had other challenging harvests as well. It's one of the things that's definitely true. I'm not going to just show you the good stuff. I try to focus on the good stuff too, the good harvest, but you don't want you to think for a second that we don't struggle with some of what we're growing here. That would be completely disingenuous. It almost looks like there's another nest in here. I mean, that's possible. Hopefully not. Hopefully they saved us some here toward the back. Well, that's one of the other things too. It's interesting about a bed this size. If they get into a bed this size and start eating away, then they have very little room to move around, and they don't have to move very far for their food. Wow, this is going to be dubbed the vole harvest. This is going to be the harvest that we give it up completely, it seems, to the Vole empire. Man, they are not leaving me a thing in this one. I'd say for at least most of the other harvests, they say, we'll have a little bit of mercy on you. We'll give you some of what you need to continue growing. This time around, I don't think they love me so much. All right, I'll see if there's anything else down in here right there. Yep, eaten. Wow. So we talked about putting hardware cloth on top of these, and I didn't do it this year because we hadn't had them attack these particular containers so much in the past. And now I have regrets. Hey, if you didn't see our video on regrets in the garden and the beauty of regrets in the garden, if you haven't checked that video out, that harvest video, well, I highly recommend it because it looks like I've added another regret that I definitely intend to do something about. All right, let me show you what we got from our purple passion sweet potatoes. I'd say in a word, that's abysmal. Ouch, am I right? Well, hey, even if you're enjoying this video because you're relating to the struggles, we'd love for you to give a like on this video as we continue this harvest. Now I'm gonna move over to the Stokes Purple sweet potatoes and hope for the best, hope for a better result than we got just there. The Stokes are a more common, popular version here in the US. They're more easily found. You see these a lot in grocery stores, and that is exactly what happened. That's how we started these. We got ours from the grocery store. We bought one organic Stokes potato. We've grown 20, 30 pounds already from it. Let's see what we got in these containers. What are the odds that we got some voles in these containers? What are you thinking? I'm thinking the odds are pretty high. All right, let's get down in here. Whoop. You hear them? I can hear them. We got them down in here too. Let's see when they come to the surface. I can hear them. They don't like that I'm messing around down in here. I don't like that they're messing around down in here. Let's see where they are. See if we can scare them up to the surface. I hear you. Oh, there's your nest. There they are. 1, 2, 3. They seem to be laying in 3s or 4, 5. Oh. I think that's the second time I've made that side this video. Well, I think at this point I've harvested more voles than I have sweet potatoes. Actually, this is pretty nice. So the Stokes sweet potato has a lighter, like a reddish, more of a reddish skin in some ways. Let me see if I can do a comparison here between the two. It's still that purplish skin. Here's the purple passion. The inside is a lighter purple, actually. A little bit lighter purple. And I mean, that first one there, yeah, it was eaten at the top, but it was bigger. Now the other variety didn't produce much of any size. Even the ones that were eaten, they weren't that large. I'm feeling around in here actually. Oh, I think I have to find a way to get in here without tearing these up. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to empty some of this mix over into the container next door so that it can stop rolling down back in here. And I'm going to uncover, because you can see it right here. There's one that's growing really nicely right up along here. There's actually a couple kind of twisted together. And I want to get those out. It looks like there's a little nibbling happening here, but still really nice. And I don't want to pull it apart because I've been breaking these. They're so far down in here. And as easy as this mix is to work with, they're still coming detached, I should say, from themselves. I'm breaking them off, and I don't want to keep doing that. So just dig right down in here and see what I can uncover. Here's the bottom of the container, and you can see this sweet potato has just gone right through one of the bigger holes here. So that's why they keep breaking, because of that. You know, I didn't make an effort necessarily to put a rock right over top of the holes. I probably should have. Oh, this is going to be nice. Oh, I can feel it's loose. That's a Stokes Purple potato. Little tiny bit of damage here, but that's one that's what we're looking for. I'd have loved to seen this whole bed look like that. Oh, that's not loose enough. That is what I'm looking for in this harvest. Sweet potatoes that are a little bit bigger, something that we can really sink our teeth into. And you can see the quality of this bunch. And it's hard, you know, because I can't really compare. There's another present from the squirrels, another walnut. I can't really compare this to the other variety, to the purple passion, because we didn't get enough of the purple passion. And yet I'm definitely seeing better size. And these beds, okay, how can I do this? These beds were definitely fertilized the same way. It's the same mix. Okay, can I, as gently as possible, get this out without breaking it? This is going to be the test of all my abilities here. Can I get this out of the deep ground underneath? I'm pulling it. Oh, I just don't want to break it. Oh, I can't lift the container up. It's way too heavy, but I also, well, you're staying with me here. This is garden drama at its highest. The height of garden drama, getting the sweet potato out. Hey, see how easy that came out? Let's try that. Let's try that. All right, can we get this out without breaking everything? What's this? I see, okay, there's a little one that was attached. Okay, here we go. I feel it coming. Please don't break. I'm trying to come straight up with it. And that's the answer to the question, can we pull that sweet potato out without breaking it? But hey, see this? This is kind of a cool texture too. The interior, you get that white and the purple. You'll notice that when you're trimming it down or you're peeling it too. I am going to try after this, after I've removed all the mix from it, I am going to try to get in there and see what was left in the ground. Now I was about to say these are really staying dormant, this variety, and just as I say that, you see one here that was eaten off at the top, and that one's definitely starting to produce again on top. Not something you want if you're looking for longevity in your sweet potatoes. You want it to not have any of those characteristics, not to be producing greens, because you want it to stick around for a long time. At least that's my impression of what you'd want. I mean, yes, you're going to be eating them, of course, as the summer goes on, so it might not even be a problem depending on how many you've grown. But you definitely want good storage life from your sweet potatoes. And we've had sweet potatoes that we've eaten that have stored well over a year. So if you can get something like that from your garden, something that's going to store for well over a year, I think that is absolutely ideal. I would say this is more of a challenge for sweet potatoes, certainly than potatoes, is not breaking your harvest. Here's what I broke off of earlier. See the nice size? See, it was down through one of the holes, but see the nice size and some damage here? Well, I can 100% say that even though the voles came along and they're eating these sweet potatoes, we definitely have bigger sweet potatoes than the purple passion. So, I mean, there's something. All right, here's the biggest one of the bunch right here. And I think it's undamaged. Let's see. Yeah, that's nice. We'll take a sweet potato like that any day. Yep. Hey, I said it before. I'll say it again. You can be upset in a bad harvest, or you can try to figure it out for next time. It's tough when you're feeding your family. It's tough if there's a harvest that doesn't go the way you want. But there we go. At the same time, if you're learning lessons, it's going to make a difference for the next set of harvests. All right, I'm going to move over to our last couple here at the end. Okay, that one, this one right here, that looks pretty good. Feels pretty good. There's a couple on here, a couple that were attached to this plant that I think are probably going to be pretty decent. Now, I mentioned this stuff is so easy to work with. It's one of the things that is a major benefit, in my opinion, to container gardening, is you have that control over the mix that you put in there. That makes a huge difference when it comes time to harvest. Is digging through clay for sweet potatoes is a challenge. A worthwhile challenge, but a challenge nonetheless. All right, see, everything's coming up here. This is going to be a good one, and it's not going to break. Did you hear it? Look at that. Beautiful. So I'm feeling some success in snatching the sweet potatoes from the jaws of the voles. I'm feeling a little bit of success in that we've done that for some of these. Even though we're not getting a massive harvest out of here, we're still going to be able to enjoy these purple sweet potatoes. You can see some growth down here. As I suspected, I've seen some vole damage here. And again, it does seem to me that when these sweet potatoes are damaged, that's when they're putting on that growth. And that would make sense as a, plant survival mechanism. You get damage, you shoot out new growth. We see that from trees, certainly. They see some damage, and then what do? They start sprouting. You kind of know an unhealthy tree sometimes because they start sprouting new limbs when they're damaged. That's nice. Okay, that was the last one from this bin. We have one more bin. I'm exposing that first Stokes Purple right here. Oh, and it feels nice. Yeah, that's a really nice one. Oh, there's a couple feel really nice right down in here. Okay, maybe they didn't get to this one. Wouldn't that be awesome? A container, you'd like to get 1 to 2 pounds of sweet potato production from these sweet potato slips, and we haven't gotten that so far. Now, one thing you should also know, I should say about this type of sweet potato, the Stokes, is it definitely has a nuttier flavor than the Purple Passion. Look at those. Those are beautiful. This is the best bunch so far. Starting to go to sprout again. You see that? Starting to sprout again. That's all right. We'll just eat it pretty quickly. This has a really creamy texture when it's cooked up as well. That was awesome. If I could have that in these containers, oh, there you go. There's the one that was eaten. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see how far along it is? If I could have that production for each of these containers, though, I think I would be more than happy. There's one right here. So you see the top eaten off there. All right, but there's still a good bit of this sweet potato that is good to go, good to eat. So again, we can always take, and it's a little bit more like how squeamish you are, I think, in some ways, as to what you're willing to do. So I'm going to take these off, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I could just take these off, take these sprouts off, like this, and you've got a good 6-7 inches of good edible sweet potato, and just cut that top off. If you don't mind the fact that some critters have been feeding on part of your sweet potato, and quite frankly, if you garden, you know how many different critters are out here on your vegetables on a daily basis. And it's a piece that you have to come to terms with, in my opinion. It's not something that you're going to escape, especially if you're growing your own food. I'll be honest with you, that first slip that we had, that first bunch of sweet potatoes, got me a little bit spoiled there. Got me hopeful, and then we came along that next one. We still got some decent size, but a lot of damage there. All right, and we're over to our next set, damaged at the end. So I'm guessing from this point forward, we're probably going to see a lot of that. And this is where, as I said, I think we're going to see another nest, maybe. I don't hear them squeaking. That's usually a pretty good indicator, especially the young ones. They get in here, they're really loud when you disturb the nest. Hey, people always ask, what are the voles that you're talking about? Well, I've definitely been able to show you the voles today, huh? You got a good picture. And for those of you that don't have to worry about voles, like that's not part of your pest lexicon, if you will, I'm sure you have plenty of other critters that you have to deal with that are just as difficult. And you can feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but that's one of the reasons why I can't complain too loudly, because we don't have to deal with deer. Boy, that's a garden nightmare, isn't it? There you go. There's a little one here. I think that little one was, there you go, a little one attached to probably this plant over here. We haven't had to, for the last couple of years, knock on this piece of plastic here, we haven't had to deal with raccoons. Those are a nightmare. They really loved our corn. Ooh, this would have been nice. I can see the damage at the top, but there's a couple really nice ones here. Take a look at these. See the size that we had here, minus the destruction. Here's another one. Yeah, this bunch was pretty nice. Pretty nice. All vole damage aside. Here, this is from the same bunch right here. You can see the amount that we were having here. You have damage like this, don't be discouraged. Keep growing. We know. We know the experience. But if you keep growing, if you keep trying to grow, you're bound to end up with some good successes. Look at that beauty. Okay. That is fantastic. I love it. And if that one was whole, then that one's whole too. Okay, multiple here at the very end. Oh, and look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4 voles right down in there. But guess what? I got them before the voles did. That is what I'm talking about. The voles tried. They tried their best, but I got those sweet potatoes right from underneath them. All right, folks, if you want the final count, I'll tell you. I harvested 14 voles today. And I harvested a few purple sweet potatoes. Definitely some really nice sweet potatoes. These purple Stokes are going to be absolutely delicious. I've got a couple of the purple passion sweet potatoes we're going to be able to eat, but I think more than likely what we're going to do instead is just get them started sprouting again. We'll get some of those purple passion slips because we don't want to lose that brand. We've been growing those here in the garden for 4 years and these purple Stokes for 2 years. They're both delicious. No, this was not a good harvest. Yes, the voles came and they were real, but that's all right. We're going to keep growing. We've got a lot more sweet potatoes out here. That's why you don't put all your sweet potatoes in one bed, yeah? All right, folks, if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to give us a like, leave us a comment, remember to share and subscribe, and most importantly, remember, when you're with us, you are good to grow.